Convicting and chastening words from on high today. I ask in Jesus' name, amen. Please be seated, everyone. Very first year we had camp meeting here, 18 years ago, we put the top part of the tent on the wrong way. It was the other way around. The other side's white, this side's dark. And it was a hot summer. I don't know if you remember, we roasted in here. That dark green sucked up the heat, and we were miserable. But we learn as we go, and you know what? We need to thank the Lord for the rain. We need to thank the Lord for everything. We need to praise the Lord in everything. We don't necessarily have to thank Him for, maybe, I don't know, some of those things. But we're glad to be here. Folks, don't forget, we've got hiking trails and stuff that are all cleared out here. If you guys want to go ahead and stretch your legs, you don't have to walk on the road. And who has gained a blessing in the very short 18 hours that we've been here so far? Look at the hands going up there. Have you learned something that you're going to take back and enact in your life and in your family's life? Been anything? I should hope so. Praise the Lord for that. Does anyone have a praise they'd like to share with the group so far, verbally? Anyone have anything? Yes?
Well, I just like to
Praise God for the camp meeting. I just spoke to my son, Anton. He's down in Collegedale, Tennessee. He said, Dad, yeah, a couple of days ago I was walking in Collegedale, and I saw a man there that I recognized from camp meeting in Middle River, walking. I said, well, did you go say hi to him? No, I was with my buddy, and whatever. He was an old guy with a beard with glasses. He says he was at camp meeting every year since I started there years ago. But who is that person I'm wondering he's talking about? Shanda, do you know? Doug? How many older guys with white beards can there be? You weren't in Collegedale a week ago, were you, Russ? No. Okay, he knows you, so. And he's not old. Let's turn the time over to Brother Cross. Thank you, Walt, for coming again.
Good afternoon, y'all. It's always good to be here. It's at home. Don't need to mash a button.
How about? Yep, it's working. Just got to mash it. Well, it's good to be here with y'all. I feel like I'm in a fire truck. I got one of these that I wear in the truck. And if you don't, our roads are so narrow and our trucks are so big. Literally, we've got just maybe 3 inches on each side of each tar. And we're on the mountains. And if you look over at the officer, or the driver looks over at the officer, just a split second, you can go off the side of the mountain. So we wear these headsets and talk to each other. We don't look at each other. It feels like a fire trip. You know, when I look at these fields out here, Doug, I don't know how y'all do it. My daddy taught me,
and Granddaddy, to pick a tree out on the other side of the field, drop the plow and go. But you got to have real good vision here to do that. They're huge. Huge. And I enjoy, out walking amongst by the fields, and it's nice here. Well, I'd like to share today about something that is huge as it comes to health. But I'd like to first look at y'all. Now, I'm cutting out. Do I need to stand at a location or something? Okay, I've got a new job for you. Are you ready? Yeah. Okay, here's your new job. Yeah, let me turn this thing on. How would you like to be the overseer of this car? Yes? How much is this car? It's gone up in value. It's now only, let's go back, $28.8 million now. Who wants to oversee that car? Well, how about this car? It's a Mercedes 300 SLR something coupe. It's a 1955. How much do you think that car is? Ooh, you're good. It's $143 million. Yeah, up to $150. You're exactly right. Now, who would like to oversee that car? Would it be a big responsibility? What kind of things would you have to do to make sure that car's in top notch for your able to go out and drive that car? Pardon? Change the oil and the oil filter. The oil, yes. The fuel. Are you having to be careful with what fuel you put in there? Probably, yes. Probably. What else? Humidity control. Yeah. Could that car rust out? Absolutely. Well, let's take a look. What? Know ye not that your body is the temple of the Holy Ghost, which is in you, which ye have of God, and what? Now, what is more important? Keep from blowing in this thing. What is more important, your body or that Mercedes? Or the Bugatti? Your body, absolutely. And so does it belong to you? You know, so many people, when they come in, whether they're smoking or drinking or where I'm from, moonshine's pretty popular. It's my body. I can do whatever I want to. Or they come in for diabetes and they're looking for a healthy pill, and I explain to them we can actually reverse the diabetes. It's easier. We have over a 98% reversal rate of type 2 diabetes. It's easier to reverse than toenail fungus. Well, what do you got to do? And we start talking about what they need to do. I'm not changing the way I eat. I can do whatever I want. I won't. That's the key, huh? I won't. Well, let's look and see. For you are bought with a price, therefore glorify in your body and in your spirit, which are God's. But it doesn't stop there. That's chapter 6. Let's go back to chapter 3, 1 Corinthians chapter 3. Know ye not that ye are the temple of God, and that the Spirit of God dwelleth in you? Are there consequences? What are the consequences? If any man defiles the temple of God, him shall God what? For the temple of God is holy, which temple ye are. So if you're taking care of that Bugatti, if you're taking care of that Mercedes, and you mess up, are you in trouble? If we mess up taking care of our bodies, are we in trouble? Yes. Now, we're also, how many of us are medical missionaries? How many of us are to be medical missionaries? All. That's right. So what I'm sharing today is two-part. One is that you're to learn it as a medical missionary to help other people, but the other is you're to learn it to take care of God's body, not yours. What I'm looking at is inflammation. Inflammation is a huge issue that we deal today with, and so many diseases stem from inflammation, and we're seeing more and more inflammatory issues. I'm going to look at the common contributing causes, potential effects on the body, lifestyle strategies, and botanical and nutritional support. So when you look at a health issue, you want to look at what are the root causes, or what I call the sandpaper. And y'all have seen my illustration. If I'm rubbing my arm with sandpaper, and John comes and puts medicine on it, when he leaves, I go rub it with sandpaper again. And then he leaves, and I rub it with sandpaper again. And he leaves. Is it going to heal as long as I keep rubbing it with sandpaper? No. So you've got to find the sandpaper that's causing your inflammation or your back pain or your diabetes or whatever it may be. You've got to be an investigator. It's our responsibility. It's your responsibility is taking care of that car. If something's wrong with it, you've got to investigate it. Why is it not working right? Inflammation is the body's normal biological response that protects against injury, infection, toxins, and other harmful stimuli. However, when it becomes chronic, it progressively damages tissue and contributes to the development of numerous chronic diseases. Now, is it okay if we totally get rid of all inflammation in the body? No, because inflammation is required for the body to run. Just like cholesterol is required for the body to run. You have to have some inflammation. Wounds won't heal if you don't have some inflammation. Mechanism: inflammation begins as a protective immune response, but when inflammatory signals remain chronically active, now what's chronic versus acute? Continual, where acute would be temporary, short, acute care facility is a hospital. COPD is chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or now they're calling it COLD, cold, chronic obstructive lung disease. That's over a period of time. Do you get COPD after you smoke one cigarette? No, it's chronic over a period of time. So signals remain chronically active. They disrupt normal physiology, damage tissue, and promote the progression of chronic disease. So inflammation promotes chronic diseases that we can have. Common contributing root causes. What are some of them? Excess visceral body fat. Visceral body fat is a huge issue. When we look at ideal body weight, I have people tell me, well, I'm just big boned. Okay? And I will agree with y'all that the body mass index is not accurate. I would say 99.8%, 99.9% of all medical community uses BMI, body mass index. But it is not accurate because it doesn't take into account male, female. It does not take into account age. It does not take into account at what level of activity your percent body fat you want. So I'm sorry, BMI, body mass index. Body mass index. I like percent body fat. Percent body fat is much more accurate, and that's what sports medicine uses. But body mass index does get you close, unless you're worried about your bone size. Excess visceral body fat functions as an active endocrine organ that continuously releases inflammatory mediators, promoting insulin resistance, oxidative stress, endothelial dysfunction, and chronic systemic inflammation. So when we have excess visceral fat, it can increase inflammation. Diets high in ultra-processed foods. Now, if you were to talk to Harvard, Harvard would tell you this is the number one reason. So there's a debate out there between which is the highest, visceral fat or processed foods. I don't have a PhD in biochemistry, so I can't argue that one. But they're up there in the top. A diet high in ultra-processed foods promote chronic inflammation by increasing oxidative stress, disrupting the gut microbiome, impairing intestinal barrier function, and activating inflammatory pathways throughout the body. So when we eat processed food, we're more prone to have inflammation. Insulin resistance. Insulin resistance creates a self-perpetuating cycle in which elevated insulin and blood glucose stimulate inflammatory cytokines, increasing oxidative stress and progressively worsening metabolic dysfunction. So, what is insulin resistance? Type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes is insulin resistance. Well, it's kind of like a cat chasing its tail. Inflammation can exacerbate type 2 diabetes or insulin resistance, but also insulin resistance can cause type 2 diabetes. So they kind of promote each other. Chronic psychological stress. Anybody have chronic psychological stress? Is stress an issue out there? Did I tell y'all last time when I was here, I don't remember if it happened after I was here or before I was here, a girl came in and told me she had no stress. Did I tell you about her? Now, pardon? No, that's what's weird. And what's even weirder is this lady is a lady that you normally would not want to be near because she could get tore up if you just halfway looked wrong at her. You know them kind of people? I mean, she was a stick of, not dynamite, but nitroglycerin. There's not sticks of nitroglycerin, but she was nitroglycerin. And you really didn't want to be around the lady because she could explode at any fraction of a second. Well, she comes in, and we're talking, and she had an issue that stress could be an issue of. And I said, what is your stress level 0 to 10? She said 0. And I look like, there ain't no way. This lady's like 1,000. And I said, no, 0 means no stress. 10 is major stress. She goes, 0. I said, how do you have 0 stress? Well, she says, I recently found Jesus, and I found I can just give him things that I can't handle, and I don't have to worry about it no more. That was a miracle, y'all, for this lady. It was a huge miracle. Chronic psychological stress continually activates the stress response, increasing inflammatory cytokines production, disrupting immune regulation, and impairing the body's ability to repair damaged tissue. So chronic psychological stress is huge on increasing inflammation. Physical inactivity. Does anybody know what veal is? Who knows what veal is? How do you make veal? What? So you take that calf and you put that calf in just a little pen and you don't let it move around and walk. It stays stove up all the time. We have people that are veal because they don't exercise. They don't move. Physical inactivity reduces the production of anti-inflammatory cytokines, weakens metabolic health, and allows chronic inflammation pathways to become more active. Physical inactivity. Gut microbiome dysbiosis. We're going to talk about that later this week. An unhealthy gut microbiome weakens the intestinal barrier, alters immune regulation, and allows inflammatory compounds to continually stimulate the immune system. How good is your biome? We're going to talk about that later. Increased intestinal permeability, another item we're going to talk about. Damage to the intestinal barrier allows bacterial products and other inflammatory substances to enter into the bloodstream, promoting persistent immune activation and chronic systemic inflammation. So what happens is, in your villi, in your duodenum, you get like bullet holes. And what happens is macronutrients get in there where only micronutrients are supposed to, and macronutrients get in, the big ones. Things don't go too well, and you have inflammation. Inadequate sleep. We had that discussion this morning. How much sleep are we supposed to have? Well, that's debatable. Mayo Clinic says 7 hours. The Brezo-Belloc study says 8 to 9. Harvard, 7.5, but they're flirting with 8. Insufficient or poor quality sleep disrupts immune regulation, increases inflammatory cytokine production, and reduces the body's ability to repair damaged tissue and maintain physiological balance. And there's a lot about sleep. When are you getting sleep? How much sleep are you getting? Are you getting contiguous sleep? Are you getting into REM sleep? When I was in Alaska a couple of weeks ago, the sun didn't go down until after midnight. It came up around 3. I don't know if you could, but they told me you could go out at 1, 2 in the morning. You could read a book outside. And y'all, sun stays up quite late here in the summer and comes up early. Chronic infections. Persistent infections keep the immune system continuously activated, producing inflammatory cytokines that contribute to ongoing tissue injury, systemic inflammation, and increased risk of chronic disease. Why are we looking at the root causes? You've got to check them off. You've got to look at and say, okay, I'm having inflammation. You've got to be a researcher. You've got to be a what's the guy with the pipe from England? Sherlock Holmes. You've got to be an investigator. And you do that by checking off. Is it this one? Is it this one? Is it this one? You've got to look at potential causes and identify, is that a problem for you? Like if you have high blood pressure. Well, is it because you have major stress? Is it because you're not drinking enough water? Is it because you're outside ideal body weight? Is it because your microbiome is not good? Just November 1st of last year, Harvard says microbiome is now a major cause improper microbiome is a major cause of hypertension now. It's brand new. Is it because of you get less than 7 hours of sleep? That's a new one as of June of 22, according to the American Heart Association. You're getting less than 7 hours. You're more prone to hypertension. Is it because of the kidney function? Is it because you eat too much sugar? Is it because you eat too much salt? Is it because your conductivity, your electricity in the body is too high? Is it because you have clogged arteries, hardening the arteries? Is it because your heart is not functioning right? You got to look at all those items and check off yes, no, yes, no. The same true here. So you have to be an investigator. Cigarette smoking, tobacco exposure, is that your problem? Could it be your neighbor's problem? It could be. And as you look at tobacco exposure, it can be secondhand smoke. It can be side stream smoke. There's a difference in secondhand smoke and side stream smoke. Both of them will affect you. Excessive alcohol consumption. Is that y'all's problem? But could it be someone you're working with? It could. Absolutely it could. Diets low in fruits and vegetables. Hopefully that's not our problem. But I have people come in and see me that tell me they do no fruit. No fruit. Not even an apple. Not even nothing. They eat no fruit. We've got to have a high fruit and a high vegetable diet. A diet low in fruits and vegetables drives the body of fiber, antioxidants, vitamins, minerals, and thousands of phytochemicals. Look at that. Thousands of phytochemicals. That's amazing, isn't it? Thousands of phytochemicals that normally help regulate inflammation and protect cells from oxidative damage. Omega-3 fatty acid deficiency. Inadequate omega-3. What's a good way of getting your omega-3 first thing in the morning? Flaxseed, yeah. Grind, eat it within 15 minutes. Yeah, flaxseed is an excellent way. Vitamin D deficiency. Now, when we look at vitamin D, we find that vitamin D is an issue in many health issues that we look at. It's not just the immune system. There's a number of things that vitamin D deficiency affects. So it's important. It's not what color your skin is. It's not how much time you spend outside. It is not how much vitamin D you take. It is what is your blood level. Because you can be Caucasian, you can work outside in landscaping, you can take 5,000 IUs of vitamin D a day, and you can have a vitamin D level of 12. You got to know what the blood level is. Vitamin D deficiency impairs normal immune regulation, reducing the body's ability to maintain a balanced inflammatory response, and increasing susceptibility to chronic inflammatory disorders. So we know there's a direct relationship with your vitamin D blood level and your immune system. You want to keep that vitamin D level up. That will help bring your immune system up. Environmental pollution. You're all very blessed here. You don't have the problem. Who was it was in L.A. recently? Someone was telling me they were in L.A. Long-term exposure to polluted air, water, and other environmental contaminants. Can you have polluted contaminants in this area? What? How far? Really? Yeah. What about when planes fly over and they're spraying pesticides? Could that be a problem in this area? It could. It can be your neighbors. Autoimmune disorders. There's a lot of autoimmune diseases that we're seeing today that then can increase inflammation. Autoimmune disorders produce chronic inflammation because the immune system mistakenly attacks healthy tissue, leading to persistent immune activation, progressive tissue damage, and impaired organ function. What's some examples of autoimmune disorders? Diabetes, okay. Hashimoto's. Lupus. Pardon? MS? Okay. Arthritis? Yeah, there's a number of autoimmune diseases. And those autoimmune diseases can increase inflammation. Chronic psychological trauma. Now, we talked about psychological stress, but now we're talking about chronic psychological trauma. Do some people have psychological trauma? They do. Chronic exposure. Bart, yes?
What's an example of chronic psychological trauma?
Okay. Could it be a child who lives in an abusive family and they're getting yelled and screamed at? There's those situations. Those parents may not have grew up in a family that knew how to communicate. Those parents may use alcohol. When I go into the school system and I ask kids the dangers of alcohol, they'll come and tell you real quick, it makes mommy and daddy do stupid stuff. Chronic exposure to environmental toxins. We talked about that, heavy metals, other toxins. Aging. Is there a cure to aging? What is it? Heaven. So are we going to age in heaven? We'll grow? Will our mind improve? I mean, just wrap your mind around eternity age. That's one of those trigonometry for a 4-year-old. Yeah, we just can't understand that. But there is a cure for that. But there is, as we age, as the body gets older, we start having challenges, if not taken care of, especially with inflammation. A summary of root causes. Although each root cause contributes independently to inflammation, multiple contributing factors, that means, yes, you can have one item, but if you have multiple items, they can compound. Commonly interacting with amplified inflammatory activity, identifying and addressing the greatest contributors provides the foundation for successful root cause restoration of health. So age-wise, I believe that we can improve things that many times happen with age. Is it true? Look at the lady who climbed Mount Everest. And she was, what, 60? She was 50-something or 60 when she decided she wanted to climb it. She was not ready, but she got herself ready to do it. Pardon? I don't remember the name. It could be. Pardon? Okay. Are there things with aging that we can improve the aging problems? Yes, there is. Therefore, we can reduce that. Potential effects on the body. So first we look at what are the root causes. Now let's look at the effects on the body. Why do we need to know the effects on the body? Pardon? Yeah, you can eliminate the cause so that it can make you more responsible to take care of it. So if you don't change oil in the car, is it good to know what could happen? The consequences? What are the consequences if you don't change the oil in the car? No more car. Engine's going to wear out a lot faster. What if you drive like you did when you first got your driver's license? Stomping on the gas. You know, back when I was a kid, we had dirt roads, and we did a lot of drifting. Is that good for the car? No. We learn it wears it out. It wears out the brakes. So if we know what those effects are, we're less prone to do it. Does that make sense? More prone to take care of it. So we're looking here on the potential harmful effects, so it gives us an incentive not to do it. Also, we can say, okay, here's these issues. It could be inflammation then. Cardiovascular disease. Type 2 diabetes. Neurodegenerative disorders. Chronic neuroinflammatory damage is neurons. Disrupts communication within the brain, contributes to cognitive decline, Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, and other neurodegenerative disorders. So inflammation can cause those neurodegenerative is issues that deal with nerves or neurons. Cancer. So inflammation can cause cancer. That's serious. I used to, when I first moved back to Tennessee 22 years ago, the top issues I dealt with was stress, female hormones, a lot. But today I deal more with cancer than anything else, especially post-COVID. A lot of people we're seeing having challenges with cancer. It's significant. Persistent inflammation promotes DNA damage, abnormal cell growth, angiogenesis, that's the production of vessels, and reduced immune surveillance, creating conditions that favor the development and progression of many cancers. So if we want to prevent cancer, we need to make sure we're addressing the inflammation. If we have cancer, we want to make sure we're addressing the inflammation. Autoimmune disease progression. So what were some of those autoimmune diseases again? Diabetes, linear lupus, MS, arthritis. So we need to make sure that we reduce that inflammatory factor. Fatty liver disease. We're seeing more and more fatty liver disease, and what's it called now that we're seeing a lot more of? Non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Where we used to see alcoholic fatty liver disease, we're now seeing non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. When I have people come in and I have them bring their medications, it's a Walmart bag. It's a Walmart bag. I had a lady come, Tuesday. She brought in a Walmart bag stuff. They gave her Hydros. Hydros is a very powerful painkiller. Because they gave her Hydros, they gave her Narcan. I mean, they gave her so many medications. It was crazy. And a lot of people will go, well, my doctor said I need to take it. I guess I better take it. Fortunately, this lady, she said, Walt, what are these for? As I told her what they were for, she goes, nope, nope, okay, nope, nope. And she threw away most every one of them. But as we look at the impact of the pharmaceuticals, as we look at the impact of the chemicals that are on our food, as we look at the impact of so many other toxins out there, our livers are the filter. I can't imagine people eating chicken livers because that is the oil filter of the body. And what it's like is you change oil in your car. Do you change your oil filter? Yes. We need to do a flush, like on a back flush of a swim, our liver, at least every 6 months. What did Danny recommend? With every season, once a quarter, even better. Yes. So, are we doing a liver cleanse? Not when we're prone to fatty liver disease. And people will come in and say, Walt, I got fatty liver disease. My doctor said, and everything I can do for it. And we'll do a liver cleanse. And they go back to the doctor. And the common response was, I must have misdiagnosed you because you cannot reverse that. Crazy, huh? And I do one very similar to what Danny did. It works. It's chronic kidney disease. It's amazing how many people are having renal failure. And I'm having people come in who are ready to go on dialysis, according to UT, and they'll say, let me get a second opinion. And they'll come, and for 3 months, we'll do an aggressive kidney program. They go back to UT. They're no longer stage 4, 3, 2, or 1. There is no more renal failure. Can God heal? It's God that's doing the healing. It's not us. It's not the corn silk. It's not the dandelion root. It's not the coenzyme Q10. It's not the activated charcoal. It's God that's doing the healing. But He's given us tools that we can use. Depression. Is there a lot of depression out there today? According to the World Health Organization, depression was supposed to take over stress in 2020. What happened in 2020? COVID. Well, stress went crazy high, anxiety went crazy high, and left depression in the dirt, even though there was depression with COVID, but stress was just out the roof. Well, according to WHO, guess what? The turtle's catching up. And they're saying that depression soon will overcome stress and be the #1 diagnosis in America today. Is there a cure for depression? Yes, there is. What is the major cure for depression? Yes. Yeah. Dr. Walter Strachan. Did you know Strachan? Anybody know Dr. Walter Strachan? Who knows Dave Westbrook? You know Dave, don't you? With Bactine Ministries. It's Laura's father. Psychiatrist, was at Loma Linda. Strachan, the last 14 years as a psychiatrist, he didn't use one medication. He used lifestyle, herbs and lifestyle. And Strachan said, yes, something has happened now, or something happened before, but don't waller in the mud. Too many people are wallering in the mud. Well, I didn't have a chance. It's my parents, my grandparents. I was born into this family. I was born into this situation, and everything I can do. Or this person did this to me when I was a kid, or just recently, or whatever. Strachan says you've got to identify, yes, it happened. Maybe it was an issue, but does wallering in the mud fix it? No. He says turn your head, don't look at it no more, and look at heaven. Look at Jesus. And figure out how you can get out of that hole. And that's so important. Oh, they love it. They love wallering. Don't it feel good to waller sometimes? Has anybody ever wallered before? Oh, it can feel good. Cognitive decline. Potential effects of inflammation on the body. It can have cognitive decline. There's things that we can do to improve our cognition. The loss of muscle mass, sarcopenia. That we see that as we get older. That's just a normal thing that happens as we get older. Our muscles start weakening, and we don't have that strength that we used to have. But also inflammation can cause that in any one of us, no matter how. It's that chronic inflammation accelerates muscle protein breakdown and reduces muscle strength. Osteoporosis. As we look at the issues of osteoporosis, is there enough calcium in the blood? Do we have enough vitamin D to pull the calcium out of the blood? Are we using a mini trampoline, which NASA found is the best tool to drive it into the bones? What is our progesterone level? What's our estrogen level? Very, very important for ladies for osteoporosis. But the other issue for osteoporosis, are we burdened with inflammation? Because inflammation can exacerbate osteopenia and osteoporosis. It does not matter. It can be a big trampoline, or how many of y'all knew Dr. Harold Cherney, Eden Valley? Yeah. What did Cherney say? Jump on the bed. Just don't let the kids see you. I mean, jumping on the bed will work. He says if you're on vacation or on business trips and you can't take your mini trampoline, jump on that motel bed. He said it ain't yours. Yes. You can do the health bounce. Yeah. Yes, and that's why you want a bar. That bar is very, very helpful. No, it's different. It's that as the springs go down and push you back up, there's that G-force factor. Jumping jacks can help, but that G-force that happens with that is even better. Chronic pain. Inflammation can cause chronic pain. What is the first painkiller that you should use when having pain? They're right there. Batman Jotty. It's huge. Delayed wound healing. So too much inflammation can cause delayed wound healing. And so if you have a person who's having, say, because of diabetes or a decube or whatever, the more inflammation they have, the slower that healing can be. And if they smoke, you're in deep trouble because tobacco is a vasoconstrictor. And you already are dealing with capillaries where blood cells are trying to go through one at a time, and now you've made it even smaller. And so they've got to stop tobacco when they're trying to heal a wound. Periodontal disease. Reduce immune function. Accelerated biological aging. So chronic, what are we talking about? Inflammation can age us faster. Reduce the inflammation, it slows down our aging process. I can go into the science, but I'm putting y'all to sleep. Gastrointestinal disorders, we'll talk about that this week. Inflammation is huge on gastrointestinal disorders. Frailty and functional decline. Reduce quality of life. Premature mortality. When chronic inflammation remains uncorrected, progressive damage to multiple organ systems substantially increase the risk of chronic disease, disability, and premature death. So you can actually die quicker when we have elevated inflammation. Inflammation or being a caregiver. What are we talking about here today? Yes, we're talking about inflammation, but also caretaker. Are you a caretaker for God? You know, when I sit down and I pray with folks, and I'll say, you know, I'll ask God to give us wisdom, to give us willpower, because we're caretakers for His body. I find that easier to explain where I'm from than other places. Yesterday, well, I'm going to share something. I was sharing it yesterday. Yesterday's Wednesday. Tuesday, Walter he's had my tickets bought. But Tuesday, he says, Dad, I don't know, I'm just impressed. I need to change your tickets. And I'm flying out in one day. I said, what's the cost? He says, I can do it for the same price. He says, and he says, I need to change your tickets. Okay. So he changed my tickets. Instead of flying from Knoxville to, where was it, to Michigan, to Detroit, and then Detroit on into Twin Cities, he said, I found you a flight into Atlanta, from Atlanta to Twin Cities, and then on up. I said, okay. What's the difference in time? He says, same time. You leave at the same time, you get at the same time, but I don't know. He says, I got to change your flight. So I get to the airport yesterday morning, and the lady said, well, you're going from here to Atlanta. She says, why don't I just send you from here to Minneapolis? I said, does it cost more money? She says, no, just saves you from going to Atlanta and up. I said, okay. So I knew I was going to get to Minneapolis on time doing that. It takes one of the factors away, and I fly a lot, and I get stuck places too many times. Well, when I get into Minneapolis, I'm about to get on the plane, and I get this notification on my phone that said, because it didn't know that Walter had changed it, it says your flight's an hour and something late, almost 2 hours late. It won't make it in. You're going to miss your flight to Thief River. Well, no, I was there already. Now I go up to the desk and I say, I'm Walt Cross. I need to check in. And the lady goes, you're not supposed to be here. And I said, why? She says, your plane is not going to be here for a while, and it's already notified us. You're not supposed to be here. I said, well, that's the Holy Spirit right there. And I said, impress my son to change my tickets. It went over her head like, she did not get it. It's true, when we work with people in certain areas, certain cultures, they're more prone to get it. And I'm blessed to be in the Bible Belt where they get that more so. That we are a caregiver, that we have a responsibility. The folks in Minneapolis may not get that as well as the folks down in Tennessee, that we're a caretaker. So, remember this car? Not only have you let it get rusty, but you also wrecked it. Would we be in trouble with the guy who owned it? Yeah. Are we letting our bodies get rusty? Are we wrecking our bodies? It's something to think about. What? Our body's the temple of God. But here's the thing. If any man defiles the temple of God, him shall God destroy. For the temple of God is holy, which temple ye are. So what's some lifestyle strategies? What can we do that can help with lifestyle? Adopt a whole food, plant-based diet with variety. T. Colin Campbell is huge on variety. Esselstyn is big on variety. Mayo Clinic is big on variety. Harvard is big on variety. We're hearing more and more about not only just plant-based, but you need variety. And here's the reason. Again, I won't go into, you've got your fiber, your antioxidants, your vitamins, your minerals, and thousands of phytochemicals that work together to reduce oxidative stress, regulate inflammation, and support long life health. And so many people that come to me are on a total meat diet. That's about all they eat is meat. And they've been hoodooed that that's healthier for them. Yeah. What's it do to the brain? What's it do to the rest of the body after a while? Achieve and maintain healthy body weight. Again, you can use the BMI. You can do the percent body fat, whichever tool you want to use, but use a tool. Take a look at your percent body fat. Take a look at are you ideal body weight? Because ideal body weight can affect your inflammation. It reduces excess visceral fat, and that visceral fat is a huge component. Is the very first item that we read. Engage in regular physical activity. Now, how much exercise a day did Kempner at Duke University say we were supposed to exercise? Kempner looked at little humans and he looked at big humans. This is Duke University. He found that little humans exercised. They had recess in the morning. They had PE in the morning. They had recess in the afternoon. They went home and exercised. So Kempner started exercising all of his patients at Duke University that came into this outpatient program 4 times a day. How many times did Danny exercise people? Get them out and walking. Once? Did they do any more exercise in the day?
Yeah. They would do activities in the weight room as well.
Okay.
And then there'd be also 3 times.
Okay, 3 times. Okay. Multiple times a day. Kempner found 4 was huge. Loma Linda Medical School found that a 20-minute power walk lowers the blood sugar more than 1 shot of insulin. That's like 4 shots of insulin a day. You have Psychology Today says that that when we go out and we exercise, we have aerobic exercise. It increases the brain processing speed for 2 hours. So if you exercise 4 times a day, you just increase your brain processing speed 8 hours a day. That's big. And as we get older, are we noticing our processing speed starting to slow down? Kind of like having an iPhone too long and they program it to start slowing down? Here it says, regular physical activity stimulates anti-inflammatory cytokines, improves cardiovascular. It's very important. And it's interesting, so many of these items are part of those laws of health. And why are they important? Because that's what the manufacturer, like the manufacturer says to change your oil. I have a friend, he used to work for Chrysler, and he was an engineer that designed engines in Chrysler vehicles. He was one of their engineers. And he said, did you know that a vehicle is designed to change the oil every 30,000 miles? And I mean your transmission fluid? He says pickups are designed to change it every 20,000. Cars are designed to change it every 30,000. And I said, so why don't they tell us that? He just smiled. He says, because they wear out and you have to buy a new car. He says, but we designed them to where they need to be changed every 30,000 in a car, every 10,000 in a pickup truck. If you don't, it starts wearing out. Well, God designed these certain laws, and if you don't follow them, you're going to wear out quicker. Obtain restorative sleep. Again, one of those laws. A lifestyle strategy to reverse inflammation. Lowers inflammatory cytokine production. Restores hormone balance. Allows the body to repair and regenerate damaged tissue. Effectively manage stress. Why do we manage stress and not get rid of stress? Because we're alive. Drink adequate water. I mean, they just keep coming up here. Adequate hydration supports circulation, cellular metabolism, nutrient transport. We know that when I took nutrition from Cornell, they taught us that water is the train car that carries the nutrients throughout the body, especially the most distal parts of the body. And so if you're dehydrated, you're not transporting those nutrients throughout the body like you should. Waste removal. I mean, just so much water is so important for. Obtain appropriate sunshine. Breathe fresh air. It's just over and over. And I didn't plug these in. When I went in and I looked at the 20 most lifestyle strategies to remove inflammation, this is what came up on the top 20 based on science, based on rank order. And also on fresh air, don't forget, do you breathe like a chihuahua? Do you breathe like a chihuahua? Or do you have diaphragmatic breathing? We need diaphragm. That young child has diaphragmatic breathing, correct? Its stomach was going up and down when it was a little baby. Yeah. We need to breathe like that youngin'. If you've ever taken voice, if you've ever taken a wind instrument, they taught you. Trombone, did they teach you diaphragmatic breathing? Yeah. Can you hit that high note without diaphragmatic breathing? No. Yeah. I was sharing about the guy I met a guy came to me the other day, and he's having health problems, and he says, I don't want to lose too much weight, He said, I don't want to lose my armature in my lips. I said, well, I know armature is important for brass. He says, I'm a trumpet player, and I play professionally. He was the first trumpet for the Glenn Miller Band. That's pretty cool. Practice temperance. That word came up when I put in what is the top things to help lifestyle strategies. What is temperance? Making the right decisions. It's not just alcohol, tobacco, and drugs. Can other things affect us, like what we watch on TV, too much internet time, gossip, evil teen, much unhappiness it brings? Yeah. Even too much water, yes. You can drink too much water. Absolutely. Avoid harmful substances and exercising moderation. Balance activity with rest. Is that a tough one? That's a tough one. It is. There's a lot to do. And if you're a person that's drops the plow, that's a hard one. It really is. How many of y'all knew Bob Jorgensen? You know, when I spoke at Bob's funeral, I said, how do you say no in order to say yes longer? And Mary Lou reminds me of that. It's tough, balancing activity with rest. Trusting God. Spiritual issues. Restore and maintain a healthy gut microbiome. Eliminate tobacco and avoid secondhand smoke, side stream smoke. Limit or eliminate, which I feel it's eliminate alcohol. Minimize exposure to environmental toxins. Now you notice there's you see these mentioned again because we looked at cause. Now what do we do? Well, this is what we do. Oral health. We'll talk more about oral health this week. Develop strong social relationships. How many of y'all remember the Breeslow-Belloc study? Alameda County study, 6,956 people. It's a 15-year study. There's a young lady who is doing her PhD on loneliness. She joined with Breslov and Belloc, and to see if loneliness would cause a person to die quicker. It does. Anybody live alone? Is it harder to live alone? I would think so. Good, strong social relationships, being involved. Cultivate joy, gratitude, emotional well-being. I've added a ninth law of health. Be happy. Proverbs 17:22. A merry heart doeth good like a medicine. Joy, gratitude, forgiveness, hope, emotional well-being. Maintain an active life of learning, purpose, and service. Is it okay to keep learning? We have people in their 70s going back to community colleges. That's okay. Keep that brain working. Develop a lifestyle that can be sustained for life. So it's not just a short-term thing. It's a lifestyle that's contiguous, not continuous, but contiguous. And to finish, there's some botanical and nutritional support that you can use. Turmeric or curcumin is an excellent anti-inflammatory. It's probably one of the biggest ones out there. Another very, very favorite one of mine is Copaiba. Who's ever used Copaiba? Anybody know about Copaiba? I was in Brazil not long ago, and all the women would have raised their hands because it's used for skin issues. A couple weeks ago on a Friday evening, 2 weeks ago, tomorrow. 2 weeks ago tomorrow. I was helping Walter with he was putting in a new kitchen countertop, and it was an inch and a half acacia by 8 foot long. And it was well over 100 pounds, and it slipped out of my hand. I had my socks on because I was inside, and it hit my foot across the toe and across the foot. And I just knew I busted my foot. I just knew it was broken. My aunt dropped in Chattanooga. She dropped a tube of Crest toothpaste. It fell and hit her foot, and she broke her toe. I dropped this huge countertop on my foot, and I just knew it was broke. It hurt. So I took my sock off, and less than a minute, it was plum purple. So Summer, my daughter-in-law, brings me some Copaiba, and I put some Copaiba on it. It's a essential oil. It comes from a tree. They extract it like they would maple syrup, and so I put it on there real heavy. Again, it's the most anti-inflammatory phytochemical identified in the world. And I put my sock back on. We had to get finished. We needed to get stuff done before Sabbath. I got home, and the purple was almost gone. Now, the toe, it had busted it at the nail, and it was still bleeding there at the nail. But the purple was almost totally gone. I put more Copaiba on it. The next morning, there was no purple at all. None. Yes. You can. I have a guy, he's now gone 5.5 years. He would have epileptic grand mal seizures daily at least once. And he's not had one for over 5.5 years. We use it for essential tremors. People use it for helping them sleep, but Copaiba is amazing. It's an anti-inflammatory. Well, turmeric is a great anti-inflammatory for the body. Now, people will tell you that you have to use it with what? Black pepper. But there's a company called Terry Naturally. Anybody ever heard of Terry Naturally? Terry, the owner, he found that he can use turmeric essential oil along with the curcumin, and it has the same action that the black pepper. So when you use Terry Naturally curcumin, it doesn't have black pepper in it. Yes. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't know that one. Yeah. Yes. Copaiba? Oh boy. Y'all know I don't spell good. Southern and phonics don't work good together. Oh, thank you. C-O-P-A-I-B-A.
Okay, there you go. Copaiba. It's amazing. It really is. For skin issues, again, they use it a lot in Brazil.
Or women use it for all kinds of skin issues. There's the benefits of curcumin, which is the chemical in turmeric that's the anti-inflammatory part. It's kind of like bromelain in pineapple, allicin in garlic. It's the component in the turmeric that's anti-inflammatory. Omega-3 fatty acids. We talked about that earlier. Ginger. Pastor, I don't know very many Chinese protocols that don't use ginger. I mean, it's just huge in Chinese medicine. Huge. Boswellia. There's a saying in essential oils, when in doubt, use frankincense. Frankincense is amazing. It will cross the blood-brain barrier. We use it for fighting brain cancer. It's good for memory. But frankincense is also a good anti-inflammatory. It's also great for, I use it for my wound salve. Who's ever used MSM? MSM, what, do you use it for humans or dogs or horses? All. Yeah.
Not MS, osteoporosis.
Okay.
Years ago.
Did
But
it help?
she took it for years and it helped her a lot.
With
With the osteoporosis? I didn't know that would work. Good, thank you. MSM comes from trees. That's why they haven't
patented it. That's why the pharmaceutical industry hasn't grabbed a hold of it. It's extremely powerful. I learned about it when my dog was having, a cocker was having problems going up and down the stairs, especially up. And so I took her to the vet, and he said, just put a teaspoon of MSM in her food twice a day, and it worked. until I'd noticed her not going up the stairs good, and I'd ask Mary Lou, is she still using the MSM? She goes, oh, she was doing so good, I quit using it. And so you just got to use it all the time. But there are two very important things about MSM. There's two things that will neutralize it. One is chlorine. So you can't put it in chlorinated water. It will neutralize it. The other thing is you can't put it in citrus. So when you take it, you don't want to take it and then eat breakfast with, grapefruit, oranges, lemons, lemon water, whatever. You can't have that in the stomach at the same time that the MSM is in the stomach. You can do it separate times, is fine, but the citrus product and the chlorine will neutralize it. Very powerful. MSM who knows what DMSO is? MSM turns into DMSO in the body. But they use it a lot on horses and dogs. I had one vet. Have you ever used it on cats? One vet told me it didn't work well on cats, but it worked really well on dogs and horses. Any other animals you've used it on? Okay. So MSM for Lyme disease. Oh, that's good to know. All right. Bromelain. What's bromelain come from? Yeah, pineapple. Not only is bromelain a good anti-inflammatory, it's also good for the gut, for digestion. Vitamin D. Again, you take it to where you know you have a good blood level. The lab will tell you 30 to 99 is normal. Neurologists will tell you less than 60, you have cognitive impairment. Internal medicine says if you have a low vitamin D, had a lady come in the other day, it was 13. They said the Society of Internal Medicine says a low vitamin D decreases the processing speed of the brain. Now, they use this number, I have no idea. 394%, not just 400, but 390. So it significantly lowers the processing speed. But it also helps with the immune system. Magnesium. I have a friend that called me recently. Yes. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, that's the same thing I tell them. Yes, 80 to 100 is where it needs to be for vitamin D. I agree 100%. Yeah, very few realize that. That's good. I have a friend who is he's a what a hospitalist is. He's the top hospitalist at a hospital in Chattanooga. And he called me a couple of months ago, just maybe 2-3 months ago, and he said, Walt, you won't believe it. He said, I noticed the magnesiums and potassiums were low in our admissions. He said, I ordered that all admissions, we do a magnesium and a potassium. He said, we're running 90 to 95% of every admission into this hospital in Chattanooga, a deficiency in magnesium and potassium. Amazing. Well, we know if food has, when we look at magnesium, we know if we use hybrid versus heirloom, we don't pull up as much. We know that we have soil erosion. We know that that if Roundup is sprayed on any field, whatever that field it's sprayed on, it binds the magnesium where that crop does not pull up the magnesium. And not long ago, I was asking a lady, she used to be a highfalutin jockey, and she works a lot with folks from Lexington. I asked her, are horses having problems with magnesium deficiency? And she looked at me kind of strange. She says, why are you asking that question? And so I told her I said, I'm concerned because what do horses eat? They're eating alfalfa, they're eating corn, oats. Well, I don't know if they spray oats with Roundup. Do they spray oats with Roundup? Y'all know? But they do corn, and they do soy, and they do, I don't know, do horses eat, I know cows eat soy, Dairy cattle eat soy, but I know horses eat alfalfa and they eat corn, and that is sprayed with Roundup. She said, yes, Lexington is noticing that the horses are deficient in magnesium. It's been increasing, the magnesium deficiency. Magnesium is essential for hundreds of enzymatic reactions in the body. It's just super, super important for the body to run. Magnesium is known as the depression medication. Very important for vitamin D metabolism. If you're low in magnesium and you're taking adequate, I had a lady taking 40,000 IUs of magnesium a day. 40,000 IUs of vitamin D a day, and I could only get her up to 24. Magnesium to bowel tolerance, she went to 97. Probiotics. Dietary fiber. Garlic. Allicin. Allicin's just amazing for inflammation. Resveratrol. Where is resveratrol? So do we have to drink wine? The wine industry will tell you got to drink wine. But they have found that Concord grape juice will do, Welch's Concord grape juice has just as much resveratrol as the wine industry has. Resveratrol is important. Coenzyme Q10 is amazing, amazing. It supports the mitochondria, and the mitochondria are very important. We're now learning that mitochondria is where we see the transfer of cancer. And we used to think only the DNA, but now we're learning that the mitochondria. And that's why we're seeing things like melatonin used for fighting cancer, because melatonin helps mitochondria function. There's a number of things that helps mitochondria function. But the CoQ10 helps it. NAC, did we see NAC used during COVID? Yes. We look at the reducing oxidative stress, regulates inflammatory pathways, supports healthy liver and lung function. NAC was a huge tool to use during NAC, and Dr. Peter McCulloch still uses it today. Quercetin. McCulloch still uses quercetin today for long COVID. Vitamin C. Vitamin C is forgotten a lot, how powerful vitamin C can be. Very basic, very easy. But you have to remember, vitamin C, typical vitamin C has a half-life of 30 minutes. Some say 15, but most say 30, unless it's liposomal. And liposomal is about 5.5 hours. But vitamin C is very important for immune function. Zinc. Did we see zinc used during COVID? The problem we saw zinc used in COVID was physicians were using 200 milligrams. And when you take more than 30 milligrams of zinc, you're going to lose copper. And so if you're going to do high doses, it's fine, but you got to add copper. Especially men, you have to worry about zinc, because men lose zinc more than women lose zinc. Boron. Anybody ever use boron? Boron's important for osteoporosis. I've seen osteoporosis totally reverse, full-blown osteoporosis totally reversed by just using boron. Dr. George Fletchis would use boron for osteoporosis. But boron is also important for inflammation. We also know that boron for vitamin D, you've got to have adequate magnesium. You also have to have adequate boron. And even though you take, let's say your vitamin D blood level is 97, but if your vitamin A is too high because you're taking too much vitamin A, your 97 vitamin D is not going to work because you have too much vitamin A. So it's a chemistry set. Pardon? Boron, it's, you know what 20-multein boron is? Borax? Yes, it's garden, but I'm told that it can become toxic, so you have to be careful. Bob Jorgensen said you had to be careful not put too much boron or borax in the garden. But you need boron in your food. The islands are deficient in boron. In the Caribbean, yes, they don't have adequate boron. Copaiba, here's the copaiba. In summary, we'll finish with this. Food first, lifestyle first, targeted support when needed. The greatest opportunity to reduce chronic inflammation comes from removing its root causes through a whole food, plant-based diet with variety and lifestyle, while thoughtfully selecting botanical and nutritional support may provide additional benefits when food alone cannot reasonably meet physiological needs. But when you attack, you want to, again, go back, look at what those root causes can be. You want to be an investigator. Don't just say, I'm just going to take something. You don't want to just treat signs and symptoms. You want to remove the sandpaper.